Bebop crew. Spike Spiegel, Supaiku Sukjiru, born June 26, 2044, is a tall, lean, and slightly muscular 27-year-old bounty hunter born on Mars with a history of violent activity seen through flashbacks and dialogue with the Red Dragon Syndicate. He is often depicted with a cavalier attitude, but frequently shows signs of compassion when dealing with strangers. Spike is voiced by Koichi Yamadura in the Japanese version of the anime, while Stephen Blum voices him in the anime's English dub. The inspiration for Spike's martial arts is found in Bruce Lee, who uses the style of Jeet Kune Do as depicted in Session 8, Waltz for Venus. He has fluffy blackish-green hair, inspired by Yusaku Matsuda's, and reddish-brown eyes, one of which is artificial, and lighter than the other. He is usually dressed in a blue leisure suit, with a yellow shirt and Lupin 3-inspired boots. A flashback in Session 6 revealed that his apparently fully functioning right eye was surgically replaced by a cybernetic one, although Spike himself may not have conscious recollection of the procedure, since he claims to have lost his natural eye in an accident. A recurring device throughout the entire show is a close-up on Spike's fully natural left eye, before dissolving to a flashback of his life as part of the Syndicate. As said by Spike himself in the last episode, his right eye only sees the present and his left eye only sees the past. The purpose of this cybernetic eye is never explicitly stated, though it apparently gives him exceptional hand-eye coordination, particularly with firearms. Spike's gun of choice is a Jericho 941, as seen throughout the series. He is also a talented pilot in his personal fighter, the Swordfish II, a modified racer. In the final episode, Spike kills Vicious, but his fate after the battle is left ambiguous. In a May 2013 interview, director Shinichiro Watanabe stated that it was up to the viewer to determine Spike's fate, and that he thought that those who believed that he was simply asleep were probably right. Jet Black, born December 3, 2035, and known on his home satellite as the Black Dog for his tenacity, Jet Black is a 36-year-old former cop from Ganymede, a Jovian satellite, and acts as Spike's foil during the series. Jet is voiced by Unshai Shizuka in the Japanese version of the anime, while Bo Billingsley voices him in the English dub. Physically, Jet is very tall with a muscular build. He wears a beard with no mustache, and is completely bald save for the back of his head. Spike acts lazy and uninterested, whereas Jet is hard-working and a jack-of-all-trades. Jet was once an investigator in the Intrasolar System Police, ISSP, for many years, until he lost his arm in an investigation that went awry when his corrupt partner, and friend at the time, betrayed him. His arm was replaced with a cybernetic limb in operation, later revealed to be by choice. As biological replacements were possible, he wanted the fake arm as a reminder of the consequences of his actions. His loss of limb coupled with the general corruption of the police force prompted Jet to quit the ISSP in disgust, and become a freelance bounty hunter. Jet also considers himself something of a Renaissance man. He cultivates bonsai trees, cooks, enjoys jazz/blues music. He named his ship the Bebop, referring to a type of jazz, especially Charlie Parker, and even has interest in goth. As a character, Jet is the quintessential Oyaji or dad, even though he often wishes people would view him as a more brotherly figure, so as not to seem old. Of the crew, he shows the most obvious affection when dealing with Edward, most obviously shown when he tells her a story in Session 18. He is also shown attempting to, perhaps falsely, reassure himself after she and Faye leave the crew of the Bebop, hinting that his sometimes stoic nature may be born of necessity, rather than any real lack of emotion. Jet is skilled with handguns, typically carrying a pre-2004 Walther P99, and also uses the Nerfgun. He is proficient in hand-to-hand combat as well. Compared to Spike, Jet tends to use more raw muscle than technique. He is also a skilled mechanic and pilot. Aside from the converted interplanetary fishing trawler vessel Bebop, Jet flies a smaller ship called Hammerhead. The Hammerhead appears to be a modified salvage craft, to which Jet has added larger engines and fuel tanks. It features a mechanical arm equipped with a harpoon as its main weapon, which is somewhat analogous to Jet's own mechanical arm. Both the Hammerhead and the Bebop are able to land on water, and have a fishing theme, most likely because Ganymede's surface is mostly covered with water. It is later revealed that the Bebop was originally a fishing ship that Jet customized with larger engines. He is very protective of the Bebop, often being reluctant to bring it into situations where it could be damaged, and taking great offense when someone insults it or calls it a pile of junk. During the series, it is revealed that Jet once lived with a woman named Alyssa, who left him claiming that he overprotected her. They meet when Bebop stops on Ganymede, Jet's homeland. Jet goes to find her. He talks to her and then leaves saying goodbye, but later he finds out that Alyssa's new boyfriend, Rent, is wanted for murder. Jet detains them and hands over Rent to police. Faye Valentine, born August 14, 1994, is one of the members of the bounty hunting crew in the anime series Cowboy Bebop. She is often seen with a cigarette and in a revealing outfit complete with bright yellow hot pants and a matching, revealing top, and, on occasion, a bikini. She sports violet hair, green eyes, and a voluptuous body. Although appearing to be no more than 23 years old, Faye is actually around 77 years old, having been put into cryogenic freeze after a space shuttle accident, wherein she spent 54 years in suspended animation. During the course of the series, set in 2071, Faye manages to cross paths with Spike and Jet twice, before she finally makes herself at home aboard their ship the second time around, much to the consternation and disapproval of the two men, both of whom have their own reservations about women in general. Faye herself is brash, egotistical, and quite lazy, despite taking plenty of time to pamper and care for her own appearance. Faye has been arrested several times in the series, and has spent time in handcuffs on the ship. She, at times, expects the boys to take care of bounties for her, while she sits by idly to reap the benefits, and eat all their food, which is another source of conflict. Seemingly little more than a thorn in her partner's sides, Faye is actually a well-rounded member of the team. She can handle herself exceptionally well for a woman of her slight appearance, displaying at least once in the series, in Cowboy Funk, that she has a powerful punch. Adept at flaying, Faye has stood her ground, just as well as Spike has in an aerial dogfight in her ship Red Tail, and at times even against Spike in an aerial dogfight, though Spike eventually proved the better pilot. She also excels with guns, and is first seen in the series completely disabling a shop with a Heckler & Koch MP5K, though she is immediately apprehended afterward. In the movie, she is seen with the same gun, in addition to her normal companion, a Glock 30. Faye has an almost unstoppable attitude, and even her sometimes innocent smile can be seen as dangerous. She has many bad habits, such as drinking, habitual gambling, smoking cigarettes and occasionally cigars, becoming unnecessarily violent, and turning on partners when the profits seem too skimpy. Sarcastic and presumptuous, she rarely appears weak or in need of support. She brags and takes care of herself, never trusting others, cheating and lying her way from one day to the next. She also shows herself capable of unpredictable behavior, as when she kissed Ed on the mouth, to snap Ed from one of her rambling moments. She is a woman who is skilled at getting what she wants. Her indomitable exterior hides a more delicate interior. Upon awakening from her 54-year cryogenic sleep, not only was she saddled with a massive amount of debt that she had no means to pay, but she was also diagnosed with total amnesia, a stranger in a mysterious world that she was not a part of, and did not understand, surrounded by people who claimed to be helping her, but were only there to take advantage of her naivete. The surname Valentine was merely a name given to her by the doctor who worked her. The circumstances of her accident, her previous life, and even her real name all remain a mystery, and are only gradually revealed as the series progresses. It has been hinted that she came from Singapore on Earth, and was the daughter of a very wealthy family, as the city's famous Merlion statue features prominently in scenes of her childhood, and that memories in a film from her childhood showed her living in a large mansion. Faye is supposedly her real name, as a high school classmate, by now an old disabled woman, recognizes her and calls her by that name. In her debut episode, she claims to be descended from Roma people, but it later becomes apparent that was likely a lie. Utterly betrayed by someone she thought she could trust after waking, Faye found herself burdened with even more money to pay, and the situation resulted in the hardening of her personality to an extreme degree. She even says in Session 11, "We deceive or we are deceived, and that nothing good ever happened to me when I trusted others." Throughout the series, though she retains her sarcastic demeanor and unpleasant nature up until the very end, it is easy to see her grow as a character. she learns to value her comrades, coming back to the Bebop, when she realizes that it is the only home that she has left, naming it as the only place I could return to. She grows to understand the disadvantages of being a loner, and that even though her family is somewhat dysfunctional, it is still a place where she will always belong. Throughout the series, though she grows to care for Jet and even Edward in her own way, it is her relationship with Spike that remains a cause for consideration by most. In one episode, Spike teases her and asks if she will come to help him if he gets into trouble, and though she scoffs at his remark, she eventually does. Faye even points her gun at him in a threatening gesture in the last episode, as Spike is walking away to what she and Jet both realize is his possible death. After he leaves, Faye cries. When asked what Abe stated in an interview, "Sometimes I'm asked the question, what does Spike think of Faye? I think that actually he likes her quite a bit. But he's not a very straightforward person, so he makes sure he doesn't show it." Edward Wang Hau Pepeluchi Vrusky 4th Peperuchi Burusaki Onsei, born January 1, 2058, is the self-invented personal name of an elite hacker prodigy from Earth. Her birth name is Françoise Pledley, Furinsauzua Puroda. Radical Edward is a very strange, somewhat androgynous teenage girl claiming to be around 13 years of age. Her mannerisms include walking around in her bare feet, performing strange postures, and her gangling walk. Ed could be considered a free spirit. She is fond of silly exclamations and childish rhymes, is easily distracted, has the habit of drifting off from reality, sometimes in mid-sentence, and is the show's primary source of physical humor. Ed's generally carefree attitude and energy act as a counterpoint to the more solemn and dark aspects of the show. Ed remains a part of the Bebop crew until the 24th episode, when she, along with In, leaves the crew to reunite with her father. Over the course of the show, she rarely walks anywhere, preferring to run, crawl, flip, roll, walk on her hands, ride piggyback, or, at the very least, saunter. Ed wears a very loose sleeveless shirt and tight, black bicycle shorts, and a pair of large green goggles around her neck, or on her head that act as a virtual reality accessory for computers when connected. She is always barefoot, and uses her feet for tasks which one would usually use hands, such as scratching her nose, clapping, and typing, and it seems she has followed this habit throughout her life. This also works the other way around, where she walks on her hands instead of her feet. In the episode Mushroom Samba, she considers putting on socks and shoes, but quickly removes them, as even wearing socks hampers her, and she falls over seconds after putting them on. She almost always refers to herself in the third person. Not much is known about her origins, only that she spent some of her earlier childhood in an orphanage, after being left there by her father, a cartographer, a questionable occupation on a planet which undergoes changes to its landscape daily due to asteroid impacts, named Apla Delhisinis Hesaplatfan, which means "excuse me, check please" in Turkish. In the manga, it is revealed that she was a friend of a timid young boy in the orphanage, known simply as Tomato, which also happens to be the brand name scrawled in katakana on her PC, who, like Ed, knew a great deal about computers and the net. Ed's primary use to the Bebop crew is as a hacker. She is widely known to be a whiz-kid behind the computer. Ed's computer of choice is a carry-along Tomato desktop, and when traveling by foot she will balance it on her head. Her goggles can interact with it to give her a virtual reality environment in which she can browse an entire network at once. Originally, Ed's character was based on a description of the series' music director, Yoko Kanno, a little weird, cat-like, but a genius at creating music, and was first developed as a dark-skinned boy. It was changed to even the gender ratio on the Bebop, which was, with Ed as a boy, 3 males and 1 female. The original character design appears in Session 5 as a young boy that steals an adult magazine from Annie's bookstore by smuggling it under his shirt. In is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi brought aboard the Bebop by Spike after a failed attempt to capture a bounty. His name is most likely derived from Einstein, after Albert Einstein, because of the extraordinary intelligence he possesses. Another possibility is that the name is the German translation of one in the meaning of him being considered a he or an it. It can also be interpreted that in Japanese, the way dogs bark is one pronounced the same as one, hence the name, In. In is referred to as a data dog by the scientists that created him, and he often shows heightened awareness of events going on around him. Over the course of the series, Ian answers the telephone, steers a car, uses the SSW, plays shogi, and generally performs tasks that an average canine should not be able to accomplish. The extent of Ian's intelligence is hinted at in Session 23, Brain Scratch. When the Brain Dream gaming device is placed on Ian's head, Ian quickly navigates the system and hacks into its operating system. While the televised series only briefly hints on the fact that Ian's brain was somehow enhanced, the manga shows it accessing data stored in Ian's brain via a virtual reality type interface with which she has a conversation with a human proprietor. Following the credits in Session 18 Speak Like a Child, Ian tells Spike next episode, Wild Horses. He is able to speak to other species, as demonstrated in Session 17, Mushroom Samba. He spoke to a cow with a subtitled bark of thanks, to which the cow has a subtitled moo back of oh, it's no problem. It is likely that Ed is the only crew member with any idea of Ian's capabilities, as the other crew members are quick to dismiss Ian, and never seem to acknowledge him as more than a pet. Ian initially takes a shine to Jet, but when Ed joins the crew, he comes around to her as well. Frequently the two trade roles, with Ian expressing very human sentiments via facial expression and Ed regressing to a feral state. He followed Ed after she left the crew, probably because of his attachment to her. Ian does occasionally answer yes or no questions, barking once for yes, and twice for no, barking once for yes, and twice for no, barking once for yes.